Hey everybody, Brian again. So in a bunch of the videos I have talked about how I thought, it's not what I hope, but I think that Donald Trump is going to win this election. But I wanted to say a little bit more kind of on the horse race side about why I think that's the case and why I don't think that Vice President Harris is going to win. So first, let's just get the basics out of the way. Hopefully everyone knows this. We'll do it super fast. In the United States, we use Electoral College, state by state level. You need there's 538 total votes. You need 270 to win. Because of the 2020 census, if you just use the same map as in 2020, the Democrats would have 3 fewer electoral votes because on balance, red states grew more than blue states. So slightly more difficult this time around than last time. Second main point is that 43 states plus the District of Columbia are basically cooked. We know how they're going to vote. And it really only comes down to 7 states. Republicans can dream about winning, Colorado or Minnesota, where I am, or even Virginia. Democrats will have these pipe dreams about Texas, Florida, or Ohio, but none of those states on either side are really in play unless there's a really massive swing of a kind that right now the data doesn't seem to indicate is going to happen. So 7 states will decide it. That's Nevada, Arizona, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Georgia. That's it. Those 7 states are the entire election. Obviously, if you live in another state, go out and vote. It's a hugely important civic responsibility. But in terms of picking the president, if you're not in that state, you probably don't really matter. All right. Second main point. The electoral path for Joe Biden was not easy, but it was simple. If he held Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania, and you assume Nebraska and Maine, which divide up their electoral votes, that they each give 1 electoral vote to the other side, that gets Biden to 270 votes, right? And they talk about this blue wall, which is this basic, those 3 states, he has to hold it. Harris seems to have more options, and there are myriad combinations that can get her to 270, in which she loses 2 or even 3 of what are called the Big Ten states, although parentheses, the Big Ten now includes a bunch of states out west, but whatever. So she gets several of those different combinations in the Sun Belt, that is Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, North Carolina. She can offset losses in the upper Midwest. There are a million different ways that you can play with it with different combinations. It probably is the case that instead of it being like a completely weird set of combinations, a lot of these states will probably move in lockstep. It would be very unusual, for example, for Harris to win North Carolina but lose Georgia. If she wins North Carolina, it's probably because the election has moved enough that she has also gotten Georgia, for instance. Harris's main theory of the case is that more women, minorities, and middle-class voters in suburbs will make up for the loss that she's going to experience in terms of white people, working-class people, and kind of more of the Biden voters who moved her way, who moved Joe's way in the 2020 election. I'll talk some more about this later, but the truth is that right now she's coasting kind of on a huge surge of Democratic energy. She's had 2 weeks of really positive news coverage, good press. She hasn't done interviews, no big missteps, and it seems like there's also a lot of kind of happiness within the Democratic Party, unity within the Democratic Party, that they have gotten rid of what they were really concerned about, which is this candidate who might have been sundowning. All right. But here's the part that should scare you if you're a Democrat. We're kind of in the height of what I assume is going to be the honeymoon period. It's the apex of her polling, but if the election were held today, she would probably still lose. And so this comes before we get kind of the full Death Star treatment that you're going to get from Republicans, where they'll look to attack her for being a flip-flopper or a radical, all of the things that Republicans will look to do. And it's probably also the case that if this becomes a really negative campaign where we have the recreation of the dynamic of the double haters, that is, a lot of voters dislike both candidates, that's probably an election that Trump wins. That's, the old thing, if you're wrestling with in the mud, the pig is going to win. All right. So all of that having been said, here's my map. Excuse me. I almost didn't include North Carolina in my swing states because to me, that's as much a pipe dream on the Democratic side is Ohio or Texas, but humoring the Harris campaign, sure. I also think that Georgia is a big stretch because she's unlikely to put together the combination, and that's the important idea here, the combination of black voters and moderate white voters that Biden was able to. And I think that people don't quite give Joe Biden enough credit for being able to thread that needle, that energized and brought black people along while at the same time not scaring away kind of the moderate whites in the state. The polls have been consistently poor-ish, surprisingly poor in Nevada, and also in Arizona, but I think she wins Arizona, but not Nevada, which is kind of a surprise because Nevada is much more historically Democrat and Arizona is much more historically Republican. But I'm going to give her Arizona and not Nevada. I think that Harris wins Michigan, despite all the kind of protests with the Palestinians and their the Muslim communities upset over the war in Gaza. The Dems are still performing really strong there. And then it will come down to the last two states, which is Wisconsin and Pennsylvania. I still think that Trump wins those two states. What Harris gives up from Biden in terms of his strengths there is going to be more than what she gains in terms of black turnout and perhaps middle-class women coming out to vote. And so in the end, I have the map as Trump 286, Harris 252. It's still 3 months to go until the election, so it could really swing either way, obviously. The economy is probably going to be the thing. There's some early signs of bad news, and there's, I guess, a 30% chance of a recession. If the economy is struggling by election day, that's a wrap. I think that if there are real signs of an economic slowdown and that it's bad news in the economy, you might start to put states like mine, Minnesota, and Virginia in play for the Republicans, and even Colorado. It could be a very bad night for Democrats. Obviously, as events and polls change, I'll update. But right now, I just want to lay down the marker and say, as of now, with 80 whatever days left until the election, my prediction is Trump 286, Harris 252. All right. Thanks for watching. I love this part. Please like and subscribe. And if you have comments, I do like talking to people in the comments section there. Like and subscribe to the video. Just starting this thing out, having a lot of fun doing it. And it's been cool reading your messages. So yeah, like and subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow.